Ooh, a nice hot Chinese wife.
I guess he thought she was a chore or a chinor or something.
Right.
At least I hope it was vibrating from the hits and not something.
Oh, excelente.
Wing Chun. Yip Man.
Parental discretion is advised.
TheHardCast.
It's time for another nationalistically subjugated episode of the HardCast. I'm your host Chris, and today I'm joined by Victor.
First of all, I'd like to say, never mind, just keep going.
And Spanish.
How do you like your cockney sandwich?
Tonight's review/discussion is about the 2008 semi-biographical martial arts film Ip Man, directed by Wilson Yip, starring Donnie Yen and Simon Yam, based on the life of Ip Man, a grandmaster of the martial art known as Wing Chun. The film focuses on events in Ip Man's life during the Second Sino-Japanese War in the city of Foshan. So Victor, did Ip Man teach you to be like a piece of bamboo, firm but flexible, rooted but yielding, or were you mercilessly pummeled into the ground with only a bag of blood-stained rice to show for your troubles?
God damn it. Is it me or are your questions getting harder and harder every time we do this?
It's the HardCast.
I guess it makes sense. So yes, Ip Man set in the 1930s in this town called Foshan. And this town is supposedly celebrate their martial arts schools. The town, I guess, is really well known for their martial arts. But Ip Man is the best one. But he doesn't have a school himself though, right?
No, he actually became well known because he was the first grandmaster of Wing Chun to actually teach it to the public, the actual martial art. Before that, it was kind of like passed down verbally from master to student, but not done in a school.
Doesn't that happen at the end of the movie?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think he's considered the first to ever do that, to teach Wing Chun to like the masses.
Ip Man, played by Donnie Yen, is the best of the best. You basically found that out like way in the beginning because he basically has a fight with another master who challenges him to see how good he is or whatever, and he loses pretty bad.
Yeah, he beats the one guy to do like a brief sparring match. It goes and shows a few of the other schools. It's a peaceful time in this part of the time frame right before the war.
Everyone's like in a happy-go-lucky mood.
And everyone just practices martial arts, and you get the occasional outsider that'll come in thinking their martial arts is awesome. And
yeah, this one real asshole showed up in the town and started challenging like all the masters and started whooping their ass.
But of course, you had Ip Man bring him down. And actually, one scene I think in the peaceful time, that one of the police officers was going to use a gun to shoot somebody, and he pointed at Ip Man, and he took out the revolver and pulled out the gun. He was kind of like imagery, I guess, so in that the martial arts was stronger than using armed weapon. I like that scene. I think
that was a cool scene.
Yeah, he like de-armed the cop.
My martial arts is better than your weapons. As the story progresses, the war gets worse and it reaches to Foshan. Within a few years, the town is all poverty-ridden. Ip Man loses his house, and he's basically a commoner. He's struggling to eat rice, provide food for his wife, his little boy.
He used to live like in a
nice mansion,
nice cool like mansion type of place.
Yeah, it was a cool house. So cool that the Japanese took it away and made it their headquarters.
Yeah. So now he's reduced to living in like this one shitty ass slum of a place. The only way to get food for the family is by selling his prized possessions, pawning them off.
Yeah, like his watches and everything.
Yeah, but he eventually runs out.
And then he has to become a coolie. He has to become basically a worker.
A common laborer.
Shoveling coal. But he's a popular guy, so everyone knows Master Ip. He gets a job fairly easily, even though he's not the kind of person who usually go out and try to get a job.
Right. But he had a friend that works at, what was that factory?
Oh yeah, Simon Yam. They make textile, I think cotton clothing and all that.
Of course, he offered him a job, but he refused to take the job because then he would feel like he owed the owner.
Right, he doesn't like to owe friends.
Yeah, but I believe like the owner borrowed money from him in the beginning, like just to start the business at first. No.
Yeah, that's true. He couldn't have started that textile mill without the funding from Ip Man.
It's funny, though, because the same asshole outsider that went into town years earlier... Actually, we didn't even talk about that fight.
Well, we didn't talk about the first time when the guy comes...
In Peaceful Times, when the guy shows up.
He shows up in Foshan. He's like this country bumpkin. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's heard that the martial arts in Foshan are like is the shit, the top of the line. And he goes there to prove himself, and he basically beats up everybody with the idea of forming his own school and becoming famous because he beat everybody. everybody. And then, he fights Ip Man, and that was a pretty cool fight when he fights him. And when he's like whipping him with the feather duster.
Yeah. He breaks out a sword and he's fighting him with a feather duster.
I also liked how when stuff breaks, he's like, I'll pay for it. And Ip Man's like, good.
Yeah, because his wife was getting all pissed off, vases breaking and all that. But I also like the comment in that too, where they kept making fun of Ip Man's fighting style, that he fights like a girl.
No one actually knows for sure the true origins of Wing Chun, the martial art, but they say it was passed down verbally. They never wanted to write it down. And they say the originator was a woman who, during the time when the Shaolin temples had already been destroyed, was taught by a Shaolin monk who survived a different type of fighting for a woman. She learned this technique because the local warlord wanted to marry her and said that if she could beat him, in martial arts, then he would call off the wedding, would no longer want to marry her and let her be free. So she went and learned this martial art, and her name was Wing Chun, which I guess is, I can't remember the meaning, but it's like beautiful autumn or something fall, which was her name because I guess she was very beautiful. She beats him, and then, she goes and marries, I guess, her true love, and then she teaches him the martial art, and then he goes and teaches someone else, and so on and so forth. But it was always, one-on-one. You teach them verbally. That's why they could never really figure out where it all started and how it all happened. But that was like the story, the tale.
Cool.
That's why there's this conception that
TheHardCast, always getting off topic.
Yeah. While staying on topic. The conception is that Wing Chun is the martial arts for females because it's all about balance and using your opponent's energy against him, and having a strong defense is having a strong offense, and being strongly rooted into the ground, but being flexible and yielding and just using your opponent's energy against him, which you see that a lot in the movie.
Yeah.
Donnie Yen he does not move a lot.
Yeah, and he's always so calm and cool.
Right, he bends like a reed in the wind, to quote Dune.
So anyways, back to the present, or I should say 1937. The same guy that challenged Ip Man all those years ago, he comes back to the mill and he has his own gang of thugs. And he's basically threatening the owner to pay them money. He stole all the products and now he's giving it back for price.
He's holding all the textiles ransom and he wants money. But then the guy's like, well, we're supposed to get money for the textiles. It's kind of like a catch-22.
Yeah, they don't have any money yet.
And so he's like, well, okay, well, I'll give you some time then, even though that doesn't really change anything. But I'm not such a hard guy, I'll give you some time and I'll come back later. Well, they use that time to go and get Ip Man, and Ip Man actually teaches them some Wing Chun, some training sequences with old ladies and little kids learning Wing Chun.
Yeah, like the entire factory is learning Wing Chun.
Yeah, but he was very opposed to it at first, though. It took convincing for him to teach everybody.
I think that was
technique.
Back then. I think that was the whole reason why Wing Chun is. I mean, I don't really know for sure, but this is just what I got from the movie was that Wing Chun is one of those types of martial arts that's kind of rare, that not a lot of people know and not a lot of people understand. The people who do know it are very reluctant to teach it to others. Remember when his friend Simon Yam kept trying to get him to take his son on as a pupil? It never really worked out until the end, of course, when he started taking a lot of pupils. But he, in the end, I think it was like he broke his own rules, decided that it was better to teach people how to defend themselves when you can, when you have the ability to help others, even though maybe in your own way you're thinking my martial art is only for a very select few people. He thought in the end it was like we have to defend our country from these outside invaders, whatever way we can.
Yeah, the way that Simon Yam explained this, basically in peace times it would have been okay to refuse to train someone, but now that it's war times, people have to learn how to defend themselves. Yeah, so then Ip Man finally agreed.
Well, you have to mention he starts doing the coal shoveling, and he meets up with a friend, and they get elected to do this underground fight between Japanese technique of karate versus the Chinese kung fu. So you see some of the old masters, they get dragged away to this dojo, and they fight.
Basically the guy that's picking up all those challengers he used to be like a Ip Man's friend, but now he's got the official translator for the Japanese.
Yeah, he was the cop that actually had his gun dismantled earlier in the movie. He learned to respect Ip Man later on because, Ip Man always upheld the honor of Foshan and made them look good.
Everybody loves Ip Man because...
But at this point, the constable or the cop or whoever he was at one point, he's no longer that. He's the translator, and everyone kind of views him as a lackey because he's working with the Japanese. They're going around there trying to find martial artists to fight in these underground tournaments, like you said, Spanish. It's just this is age-old thing that they have in a lot of Japanese and Chinese movies of the whole Japanese versus Chinese thing. And even the Koreans versus Japanese was a big deal, too. A lot of people back then hated the Japanese. I mean, it's this age-old thing that people still have a little bit of a grievance with. Because the Japanese during World War II and Sino-Japanese War, they fucked up a lot of Asian countries. And a lot of people were upset about that. And that's why they're continually making movies about this whole thing. And the Japanese were very proud of their karate. The general general would send his colonel out, Colonel Sato, with the translator, and I would say Colonel Sato is a fucking douchebag.
Yeah, he's a colonel asshole.